So, welcome everyone. As we did before, we are going to use this beautiful conversation we're going to have as our podcast. It's going to be all about this beautiful, amazing book, Fourth Wing. I just cannot. So, we're not going to be answering questions. Do not feel ignored. We'll talk to you at the end of the live. Tell me.
Yeah.
Did you read the book?
I was not smart enough to go and purchase the book in time. And every time I would go onto Amazon, it would say, purchase it. You'll get it by mid July-ish. And I'm like, well, we're going to be talking about this in June. I probably should have ordered it back then, but I never did. Now it's saying I can get it by end of July, beginning of August. And I'm like, never mind. So I just went on to good old Libby, and I got the Audible, so I was able to listen to it pretty quickly. I listened to it twice because I listened to it at the very beginning of I tried to do like sections to kind of divvy it up, like I did with Archer, but that just did not work. I kind of sped through it really quickly. So then I went back and listened to it again, and I was able to kind of like really get into the book again. And then I was taking notes. So I didn't really take notes from chapter 1 through 15 per se. It was a lot more of just character development as books normally are. And then just a lot of learning who she is, who all the different characters are, them being enemies. And then to me, but chapter 15 on is where everything happens.
It picks up.
So what did you think? What are your opinions?
I have a question before I start with my opinion. So we had this conversation before. We talked about it for a while. We said, we're not going to compare.
No, we don't compare.
We cannot compare. We talked about it, right? And I remember my friend Melissa told me, nothing's ever going to compare to Avatar and Sarah J. Maas.
Never. Nothing
right?
ever will.
I was thinking about that the entire time that I'm reading it. Like, I didn't want to talk. Well, I had special circumstances. We both did while we were reading this book. So we never do this to where we don't talk during the reading. We usually like text each other. Yeah. This time around, this is the first time that we're actually talking about the book. But the entire time that I'm reading it, I'm thinking, oh my God, Melissa said, nothing is ever going to be as good as Avatar. And I think this is. I can't say it's worse or better. I can't because I feel like I'm cheating Sarah J. Maas. But it's so good. And the feeling that I have, and this is where I want to start with the conversation, is that I feel like we always give the excuse of, okay, especially with series, right? The excuse of the first book is the slowest. The first book, they're setting up the world for you. I even said in one of my videos, I compare it to, the original Harry Potter, like the Sorcerer's Stone. It's like the worst book because, it's setting up. You need to like know what Harry Potter is about. You need to learn about the characters, what they do, what they're doing. This book proves us all wrong. This book starts like sentence number 1, chapter 1 starts with conscription day is always the deadliest. And you're like, what the fuck is conscription day? And why is everybody dying? I just want to know more. She painted the whole picture so quickly. You were in that world so quickly. I was like in the parapet with her. Like I was running with her.
I will say
it's amazing.
I would say maybe the first 5 chapters or so are more of kind of like her. It's obviously telling the story. They're straight into the parapet. But while they're in the book, like while you're reading it in those first 5 chapters, while she's still doing things, you're also getting to know her. You're realizing who her sister is, her brother who passed, her mom, how evil she is, her dad, her she finds out that her best friend is there. I was never bored. Like I said earlier, I was never bored with the book, which is very hard for me personally, because I can get into a book really hard and then there's going to be like a chapter where I'm just dreading the whole thing. I don't want to read anymore. I want to put the book down, pick something else up. I'd rather listen to music. I'd rather go talk to someone. There's so many different things that come up. But with this book, I was glued to it. Glued. Super glued. Gorilla glued.
Hooked
Gorilla
completely
glued to this
from the
book.
beginning. There's something so special about this series. And we need to talk about characters. We need to talk about the dragons. We need to
We're
talk
gonna be
about
here a while,
just everything.
so buckle up.
So tell me, what do you think about the
Miss Violet,
female
or
main
Miss
character?
Violence, as she is likely to be called throughout the entire book, which only makes me love his character even more. I've liked her throughout the entire book. There wasn't really a moment where I was kind of like done with her character, or where I was irritated by her, or I was like, just get to the point. Like, she was a well-written character. I love the different relationships that she has. She has the best friend. She has obviously the enemy, a couple of those. She has her sister that she absolutely adores, her brother who sadly passed away, who she loved almost more than anything, her mom who's a pain in the butt. We all have those parents, like a parent that is just, you can't deal with them, you can't please them. They want something from you that just isn't in your pathway to give. And that's really what her mom does. She basically threatens her, like, no, you're not going to be a scribe. You're not going to be what you and your father practiced and studied and worked so hard for. You're going to go to the parapet. You're going to go fly a dragon.
She is so likable and relatable at the same time. I really enjoy Violet and her character, because the way that she's written, she's in a completely different world, going through something absolutely crazy, and it's still very likable. Like, you just feel like you could be her. I like the fact that she's not just like some badass, person, like an assassin or whatever. Not to compare it to Throne of Glass. I don't know, it's just the last thing that I read, so that word came out. But I'm not trying to criticize Throne of Glass
series,
but
that's a whole nother thing.
Yeah, we need to have a whole live about just Throne of Glass. But she's not just like some badass girl because she is the main character. No, she's a girl who struggled. She's had it tough. She lost her dad, which I should pause for a second and mention, we are gonna be talking spoilers, obviously. So if you haven't read the book, you don't want spoilers, please, join us later. But we have to talk in detail, so it's gonna be a little bit of spoilers. But she's had it very, very tough, and she's very frail. Her bones break easy. She's a weak one.
Because she was a scribe.
Really tough time.
She stayed in a library her whole life. Her dad told her, you don't need to go work out. You don't need to train. You're going to be holding books your whole life. So she never tried to train. She never tried to build any muscle in her.
Like, the first thing that she does when she's in the parapet, or like about to get to it, so she gives one of her boots to a complete stranger.
So what do you think about that? Her sister told her at the very beginning, do not make friends. Do not form relationships. Yes, this is a lose-lose situation. You could die. Like, she made that very clear at the beginning. And the first thing this girl does, your shoes are slippery. Let me give you one of mine on the parapet where we can both die. Like,
how about the male main character? You said that you like him.
Love him. Love him to pieces. I actually am tied. I adore him because he's the male main character. But I also love Liam. I fell head over heels for that person.
Why? Tell me about it.
There's just parts further on in the book that we'll get to that he says certain things, he does certain things that just really show his character, that he may have been born and brought up in a certain circumstance, but he made something else of himself. He didn't choose to take the violent route, like what was that? Jack, whatever his name was, the one who was trying to kill her, like the entire book.
Jake.
Yeah, Liam definitely could have been a Jake. He could have easily said, you know what, I know Xaden's my BFF, but I gotta kill you. Like, he could have done that easily, just like Jake did. But no, he decided and was raised properly by the people that took him in after his parents were murdered, unfortunately. And I think he became a better person. And so I really enjoyed Liam. I loved watching him develop, because at the very beginning of the book, he's kind of indifferent about her. Like, he's like, I'm literally doing this because Zayden's my best friend, and I will do anything for this man. And then slowly but surely, she forms this bond with him because he's her little bodyguard. And then, like, I'm like starting to tear up because I'm like remembering the end of this book. I'm getting all sorts of emotions right now.
I love Zayden. I thought she was gonna do a little bit more of like, we're gonna like him and then we're gonna fall in love with him, but it's from the beginning. It's just so hard not to like that character. He is very sexy. Powers, the dragons, the everything is so much. Like, it's hard to believe this is just one book. This is book number 1, and we know absolutely so much of this world, and there's so much to expand. But at the same time, you can tell me this book, I mean, I don't want it to end, but you can tell me the series is not a series, it's just a book, and it ends right here. Yeah. It'll be great because it's covered. I feel like it's going to be like maybe 2 or 3 books. Except I believe they haven't mentioned it, but I believe that people, whatever they're people, right? They're like normal people.
They're normal people, but they have powers through dragons. So yes.
Powers. These people, I feel like they have mates. I feel like Zayden is her mate.
Like,
I have
her
that
soulmate.
feeling.
I think that the love that their 2 dragons have for each other kind of pulls them and their emotions, really plays a part in their emotions for each other. I'm not saying it controls them. It tells them like, oh, this is why you're going to like him. But I definitely will say, yeah.
It pulls them together.
I mean, obviously, they have to stay together.
When I speak of like, this is the first book ever to do this. Maybe possibly not. But this is the first book ever where I read that the dragons actually speak
normally
back.
Well, no, I take that back. I've read stuff where no, I guess I never really have with dragons. I've read like werewolf fantasies, where like you as the person are the werewolf and you can like mentally communicate, stuff like that. But I don't think I've ever read a dragon book where like the dragons link to the owner, and then because they're mated and then they can link to each other, then their dragons can all have like a whole ass conversation.
The fact that the dragons communicate to their handler, it made me get attached to the dragon. And her dragon is a badass and also a smart ass.
I love her dragon.
And the little girl, like the little dragon, she's so cute. I want one.
To like understand, they finally talk about it, but how the 2 fated ones didn't have a baby. That this one was, they just like took her in because her parents, I think, were murdered.
I love the fact that the dragon, of course, chooses its rider. Obviously, that kind of makes sense. But the fact that they're able to communicate, and it's not just, okay, we have some sort of connection because he's my dragon and I'm his rider. So when we're like flying or fighting or whatever, no, like this, they get to communicate from far away. They have full-on conversations, and considering that her dragon has a mate, then now she gets to talk from her head to his head with Zayden. That is just insane.
Her mother.
Her mother is a bitch.
Can you feel anything for her mother as far as like liking that her mother pushed her to go down this path, or do you appreciate anything about her, or is it just full on her mom's a bee, how dare her, like she could give 2 shits for her kid, she only cared about her son who's no longer there, so now she has her oldest daughter who's obviously fulfilling her dreams. Why does she need to push even harder on this daughter?
Like, for the mom, it's all about appearances, considering that she has the position that she has. She didn't even give a crap that her daughter didn't want to be a writer. She wanted to be a scribe because, I mean, oh my gosh, if one of the Soaring girls is just a scribe, how horrible. I don't think that she did it to like push her because she knew that she could become whatever. I think that she just did it for herself, and that alone makes me not like her. Then later on in book, as it progresses, the way that she treats her, I mean, someone can be tough, a parent can be tough just because you want them to, you want your kid to grow and become a better version of themselves, or whatever whatever excuse you want to give a parent. But in her case, I honestly think that she's just like on her because she doesn't want to look bad.
Like you said, throughout the entire book, or every trial and tribulation that this girl goes through, she immediately thinks, what is my mom going to think? Oh, my mom's going to see the results of this test. Oh, my mom's going to see this. Oh, my mom's going to be there at this ball. She's going to be there at this event. She'll be at this meeting. And her mom doesn't make eye contact with her, doesn't acknowledge her, doesn't speak of her, it's as if she doesn't exist. Like, she exists as a shell of a person. Like, that is physically the human that I birthed. Yeah, but she doesn't treat her like, oh, you made it through the precipice. Like, amazing. Like, woo, my kid survived. Like, the middle daughter is kind of having to not play dad, but she's having to be the advocate for her, basically. Like, her sister fights for her.
She's replacing dad, who's, of course, unfortunately gone, and then playing the part of the protective mother that she doesn't have. Of course, awesome that she pushed her, because if she hadn't,
would not have happened.
But at the same time, as a mother, I don't like her,
because they're written by different authors. They're written in different time spans. Like, they're very, very different, well written books. You just have a lot more to read with ACOTAR. I love them both. I personally will say I think I like Fourth Wing more. I will put my hat in the ring and say I like Fourth Wing more than ACOTAR. I love the characters in ACOTAR, don't get me wrong.
And I feel like there's something dirty about her. Like, I feel like in the next few books we're gonna learn that she is crooked somewhere. Like, she's doing something, she's hiding something. There's something going on. I feel
know something's going on, because all these different trials, and because Dean, best friend Dean, betrays the friendship, screws her over from head to toe.
Tell me why we learn in the very beginning of the book that Dean's power is by touching you. He can read your mind. And it didn't cross my fucking mind that every time that he would touch her, he was
seeing glimpses of everything. And he did that a lot, like day one.
Is going to be one of her enemies in the next few books.
But no,
like, she's gonna be
will be, because
on the dark side.
She tried to play the martyr in this and be like, no, I was doing it for your friendship and I wanted to save you from him. You know he's a bad guy.
That's why he said, I'll miss you. He's thinking of him first. He's thinking of where he's gonna get. All he cares about in the book is, like, he wants the following year to get Zayden's job. You know, Daddy, at his case, is like up there too with power. I feel like he's trying to get there. He cares so much about his position and who he's going to be that's why he says, I'll miss you. It's like, you're gonna die, bitch, and I'm not. It's basically what he said. Jake, I feel like I was expecting his death at some point. Like, he deserved it. He's too good of a person to, like, kill him. She didn't want to do that, but it got to the point to where he deserved it. I was expecting that to happen at some point. I was not expecting her best friend to, like, turn on her completely. They're very disappointed in him. Can't wait until he dies.
It's going to be brutal. I'm so excited. I know that Zayden's going to demolish him. It has to be him, because he is in love with this girl, and that is enemy number one.
When he finally opened up,
it's always the bad boy always has such a good heart. He has good intentions. He just sucks at showing it because he's been hurt so many times. He took 107 lashes, 200, whatever it was, and then he takes It's on the
107
blame of
lashes.
all of these kids having to go through the writer, like being a writer and everything. Yeah.
To give him an
It was like,
opportunity
you're
to
either going to
survive
be like
instead of being
killed or
killed.
you'll.
And he does this, to give all these children, with like the youngest one is like 7 years old or 6 years old, give them an opportunity to grow up and go to this crazy ass school slash whatever, to try to hopefully survive and get a dragon and be a writer and have life. When he finally opens up to her, I fell for him completely. I was like, okay, I can't with him anymore. Like when the dragons are going at it, and she goes outside because she's like, I am hot, and he's like basically out there smoking a joint.
He's like, oh, you feel it too?
And like he immediately taught her how to like shield the dragons, and then they start making out.
Yeah.
And again, as any human being, especially a dude, in a moment like that, especially when you have this thing, the dragons, the connection, everything, he like told her, just please, if you care about me and any sort of way, like, please let go.
We're not feeling our feelings. We're feeling their feelings. So like, please go. Because I guarantee if she even tried to push it, he was going to tap that right then and there. He knows in the long run, his dragon depends on her dragon. So they need to get along for the long haul for them to stay alive.
I feel like when a man tells you to not fall in love with me, it's like, okay, I will.
Oh, and by the way, I love how they made Rhiannon gay. I thought that was just bravo. The scribe.
She suddenly came out of a room with a girl, and I was like, okay.
I'm like, very inclusive book. I am proud of this author. Like she did very well.
Rebecca.
And I yeah. Okay. Yeah. Anyway, back to it. Who is your favorite writer?
Crazy, because I don't know very much about her. I would like to choose to answer your question. I would like to choose a character that is not Violet or Xaden, because it's just easy to fall into like, okay, the main characters, because they have the best dragons too. But someone that I don't know very much of, but I kind of want to know more, is her sister Mira. I feel like her sister is such a badass. Everybody that sees her is like on their knees, basically. She passes by and people are like freaking out.
Why?
So she's a badass.
Why is she such a badass? What has this girl done?
Right.
Everyone.
Right. And she also like takes care of her sister so much. Like she looked at every single detail to even prepare her bag to, so, and like okay. The moment when she tells her kid between my knees and she started braiding her hair, I was like, okay, I love her. I
also cried my eyes out when she gave her the journal. Cried when she explained to her that, and like, how sad is it that when someone dies, you burn everything? They're like, you can't keep anything. And she's like, I kept this journal that I knew was going to help you.
Something that I really admired about the way that Rebecca Yarros wrote this book, besides the little paragraphs that you're talking about that are at the very beginning from like different books, etc., which teaches you about the world, the fact that every time that she is nervous, like going through something very difficult, she starts reciting things that she knows as the scribe that she was supposed to be, which in turn teaches you about where the city or whatever is located, what's around it, what other places are there, everything. Just like, way to put it right there in the middle of nothing, and you're learning something completely new.
Yeah, like every time she has to be grounded, so that way her power doesn't like explode or whatever. She's like, what keeps you grounded? Oh, the catacombs, like being in the library and just reciting book knowledge. And she's just
the archive.
Like the whole book is filled with so much information. Like I said, I was never bored from page 1 to page 400 and whatever it was.
Now, do you have a favorite writer?
Favorite? No, I enjoyed all of them, but I will say Liam is probably my top. The girl that she basically had beef with the entire time. Yeah.
Imogen?
Towards not the first half of the book. Screw her in the first half. But later on in the book, when she kind of turns when she says, I'm going to take on your training. And they kind of like form that little bond there. I will say probably Liam is my favorite.
I really love the relationship that Liam and
that
Violet
is such a good buddy, older brother, younger sister kind of vibe. And I think she even loved that about him because she was like, this is a dude who's not trying to get in my pants. He like jokes with me. He flirts with me. He's that best friend, big brother kind of attitude.
Do you have a favorite dragon?
It's a tie, actually. It's between Xaden's dragon and the golden one, the baby one. He's such like a spunky little thing, and like listening to the audible, I love like the character. Yes, I loved
the voice.
And then I
listened to it. Yeah, I did.
Like motherly and matter of fact, Xaden's dragon is.
It's hard to choose a favorite dragon. I really like what is it? Taryn or whatever her dragon, the male, the badass one. I almost dropped the phone here. He's really funny, really
smart ass.
He's such a smart ass.
Loved it.
Such a smart ass from the very beginning. But at the same time, I so appreciate the fact that he is so loyal to her from the very beginning. It's like, I chose you, so I'm loyal to you. She was having trouble sitting and staying on top of him. She was having trouble because she's so small, like getting on top of him, getting off him, and he's like putting his leg out so she could like kind of climb down. And if he was using a lot of his power trying to keep her on, he will never say it because he does his best to make her believe you are a badass and I chose you for a reason.
Like, what I want to know is what's going to happen when the time freezing goes away. What's the next power going to be?
Right. What power is she going to get from that dragon once it's fully grown? On top of the storm wielder. Yes. Like, what? They're going to be unstoppable because Xaden with the shadows, her with the storm wielding, whatever power she's going to get. And you know what? I wonder, since they're all connected, I wonder if they're going to be able to share powers too.
Like you said earlier, there has to be at least 2 more books, maybe 3.
I just feel like this has to be a series. Or a movie. It's so good and so enticing. You just want to keep reading it. You want to watch it. You want to know what the hell I'm going to have to reread the book again before book 2 comes out.
And this is why I don't like reading books that aren't like sets that are not completed, because now I am so invested in this book. I have so many opinions and thoughts. I need to keep the momentum. Like, I need book 2 now. Like, sorry, Rebecca, I gotta be an arc ASAP. Like, I need to know what is happening in this next book.
I am impressed by this book, in all honesty.
I really liked it. And then what about the ending of this book? Did you see it coming?
Let me first start by saying that the very end of the book, I was actually cooking dinner when I was reading it, listening to it, right? So there's still a lot going on. So I haven't checked. I'm cooking. So I'm listening to the book while I cook, and I haven't checked to see how much I have left, how many chapters are there, like nothing. I have no idea that the book is about to end. Suddenly it says, Brennan just grins and opens his arms. Welcome to the revolution, Violet. And I'm like, what happened? Brennan is alive. And then this thing's like, thank you for listening to Audible. Excuse me?
Abruptly ends. It just, they go this whole entire book saying how her brother's dead. Her brother's dead. I'm so sad. My brother's dead. Listening to his journal. All of these little tidbits. And then, like, the last sentence, he opens his arm and says, hey, sis. What the living hell? all.
Fuck. Like, what? And like, whenever the dude's like, thank you for listening to Audible, I'm like, no,
30
rewind.
30 seconds back.
I was not expecting Brandon to be alive because from the very beginning, we're told he's dead. We have a
Mhm.
book that we remember him by. Like, what is going on? I have so many questions because now I want to know.
Yeah.
Zayden is part of the revolution. Did Zayden know the entire time
Oh my
that
gosh.
Brandon was alive?
He had to.
Like,
no, wait.
I want to know.
Wait.
Like, did he find out while Violet is like in a coma, basically? The entire, at the end, did he find out then that Brandon was alive? Or did he know from the beginning? Because I feel like Violet is going to be so fucking pissed off that Zayden knew all along and didn't say a word. Oh, you didn't think about that? Girl, it's been eating me alive since yesterday.
Like,
wait, so hold on, because I just thought about it. So, of course, she was sick,
injured.
not sick, but hurt after the whole thing, right? Injured. That's the word. Thank you. She's injured. He's a mender, Brennan. So he took her for her brother to cure her. Zayden knew all along. Zayden knew all along. Violet is going to be so pissed off
the entire time. I'm hoping he learned it, maybe. But like, I'm going to have to re-listen to this whole book because there is not one sentence in this book that leads you to believe that he knew the entire time. Not one sentence in this book.
There's a lot going on in this book. I need to read it again, like right now. Like, because my brain is exploding right now. Because I'm thinking also, like,
no. Okay, he admits it at the end. There is no possible way that her sister knows.
What if Mira knows? Obviously, but what if, though? What if? I mean, she is a badass writer.
My mind is spinning right now.
I have a question.
Dad's dead. Shut up. Dad is dead. Don't even.
What if Dad is not dead?
Okay, don't.
What if Dad is not dead?
No.
What if? He told her, wait, because if you think about it, Dad told her about, that the people in charge, could not be the best. I mean, her mom is in charge. And like the way that he said it, it was like, maybe those that are up there are not the best ones. I feel like, what if Dad is alive? What if Dad is on top of and brother are like on top of the revolution?
This whole thing was just a ploy to get away from the evil mom? I
have strong feelings. I mean, even if Dad is not alive, I have strong feelings that Mira is in on it. Like, I don't know. I don't know how Violet is going to put up with the fact that Zayden knew all along.
Let me see if I have any more questions where people wanted to know. Oh yeah, did you think that her sister knew more than she was letting out, which we already talked about, which blows my mind.
I feel like at this point, Mira knew that Brandon was alive.
How can you look her in the face, give her a journal that says, Brother Bear made this journal for me when I was going through this. I want you to have it. Like, how do you not tell her?
I feel like they're trying to protect her.
From what?
Well, imagine how difficult it would have been for her to go and become a writer and bond with the dragon if she knew all this stuff.
How long has Zayden even known about her?
Well, about her, I'm sure that he's known about her because the fact that, the Sorrengails are very well known. So he's known about her. The question is, how long has it been that he's known that Brandon's alive? Like from the beginning? Or is this something that Brandon's like, okay, I've been alive for like a year because I've been working for the revolution, and now Zayden, let me get you in. Like, how did this happen?
Or has he known even longer? Like, has brother been in on this the entire time?
It doesn't happen very often to where I finish a book and I'm so excited about it and I want to read it again immediately. Yeah. Because right now talking about it with you, I just feel like I need to go back, read it right now, and I get all these details that my brain was not able to catch up. and like memorize it. One thing that we didn't do before this live, which kind of happened all of a sudden because it was supposed to be last week and then the week prior, blah, blah, blah. We didn't choose a book for next month. So we're going to have to do a poll to choose a book for July. Honestly, we've had 2 months with two very different books, but two very amazing reads. We went from Archer's Voice, which cried my eyes out, to Fourth Wing, where like I want a fucking dragon.
Yeah.
What's next?
Yeah, I listened to our first podcast and it made me want to read Archer's Voice all over again. Like the passion that we talk about these books is like next level, I swear.
Bitch, we're passionate. Yeah, but we got to choose a book for next month, which we have a few days before the end of the month, so we can get that together and send it over to the book club so we can announce it maybe by the next live.
Yeah.
Do you have anything else you want to talk about Fourth Wing? Any other details that we skipped? Because there's so much going on.
Hold on.
I feel like we're going to have to talk about this book again. 30. Chapter 30.
I literally
30.
That's all I put.
Chapter 30.
I just put fire heart emojis for the scene. I was like, that's all chapter 30 was about, was just boom, 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 boom.
I was not expecting any like smut in the book at all.
Yes, there had to be.
Well, I mean, I wasn't expecting it. It was good smut though.
Yeah. Yes, it was.
It took a while to get there. But I mean, it took a while because I mean it's in chapter 30. Like you have to read a whole 30 chapters or 29 chapters before you get there. However, like it wasn't like super slow or super fast in the book. I mean, they had to get to know each other a little bit. They had to like crush on each other a little bit before it got to that. I mean, otherwise it would be like, okay, too fast.
He doesn't
nothing wrong with too fast. Like, you know what I mean?
He does a really good job with flirting. Like he plays the long game with this girl. Because like I've said 1,700 times, he's loved her from the beginning.
Yeah.
So he has played the long game with her. And it shows. Because when he finally gets down in the deeds with her, he doesn't let a second.
That's crazy.
Go away.
Crazy though when you think about it, because he falls in love with her from the very beginning. I mean, of course, she sees him. He's like, oh my fucking God, what the fuck? Or like, what are you? You're beautiful, right? That's what she's thinking.
But also
he falls in love with her right away, which she is his enemy. Like, from before even seeing her, he knows that's her main enemy because, you know, who her family is, you know, what they've done to his family, this whole thing. Not only does he completely fall in love with her as soon as he sees her, then on top of that, their dragons are mates. So it's like, this is like so fucking hard on him. It's like, do I stick to what I believe in, like my family, what has been done to me? Or do I now protect this woman that's supposed to be my enemy because I'm crazy in love with her? And I think like he's trying to protect her by saying, do not fall in love with me. But bitch, it's kind of hard not to fall in love with you. I mean.
I'm still going headstrong and thinking that he's known of her the whole time because of her brother, apparently. And how he makes it a point to put her under his wing. He gets to watch all of that unfold. So I'm going to say that he's known of her this whole time. He's had a thing for her this whole time. I'm not going to say maybe, okay, I take all of that back. Maybe he hasn't been in love with her from the beginning, but he's known of her. He's known her passion. He knows he has to know everything about his enemy. So I think he knows everything about her. He has this like infatuation with her.
He has the infatuation with her hair.
Yes. Oh,
he's like, your hair.
The second she takes her hair down, his jaw drops to the floor.
They told her, you know, your hair, you should have shaved it off because that's how, you know, it's Sorengale. And like, she's like, no, because this is what makes me me. she doesn't do it. She just like goes through the trouble of having to like braid it and stuff and whatever, because it's an important part of her. And that's like what he loves the most.
Yeah.
He's like, your hair.
Mm-hmm.
What do you think about when they're finally going at it and their powers are going at it too?
That was intense. They were like, oh, how funny how the only thing we didn't break was the bed.
Right? When she says, he finally takes me to the floor. I'm like, to the floor?
He finally takes you to the floor. That's not the first finally I ever think about. I don't think about the floor. Like,
yeah.
wow.
And there's like, oh, by the way, you burned down like 5 trees. Really good smut. I honestly was not expecting it. I expected maybe a little bit. It was this. I mean, there's a full 2 chapters where
like
it's happening,
30 and 31,
which is good because I mean, I feel like in a book where like there's so much stuff being built, like again, world building. If it had been like more smut than that, it'd be like, okay, so they're just like constantly going at it. I mean, nothing wrong with that, but there's like so much that needs to be put in the book for the story to be complete. I feel like there's a perfect balance on a little bit of everything.